Another video about adjective clauses. This is the second video in the series, and in this video we'll talk about subjective identifying adjective clause word order. I am taking a class which is now online. Which is now online is my adjective clause, and it's describing class. I need this adjective clause to understand what class you're talking about. So it's identifying. There's no comma. Also, which, the relative pronoun, is being used in the subject part of the clause. Okay, let's see some examples. I read a research paper. It was interesting. Okay, my second sentence here is describing something in my first sentence. It's describing the research paper. So instead of two simple sentences, I could make one complex sentence with a dependent clause that's an adjective clause. The first thing that I'm going to do is replace the subject with a relative pronoun. Okay, now it is a thing and it's in the subject part of my sentence, so what relative pronoun should I use? I'm going to use which. Now I will move my adjective clause next to the word I'm describing, which is research paper. I read a research paper which was interesting. Okay, this is a good sentence. How about this one? I read a research paper last night. It was informative. I'm describing the research paper. It is in the subject part of my sentence and it's a thing, so I'm going to use that. I can use that or which to describe things. Okay, now I want to move the clause next to the word it's describing, and it's describing research paper. So I have to move the other parts of my sentence so that my clause can go next to the thing it's describing. I read a research paper that was informative last night. I have a professor. She is nice. I'm describing the professor. She is a person, and it's in the subject part of my sentence. So which relative pronoun should I use? Who? And I will put the clause right next to the thing I'm describing. I have a professor who is nice. Okay, don't forget about subject-verb agreement. The verb in the adjective clause should match the noun it's describing. If I'm describing papers, my verb will be plural. If I'm describing paper, my verb will be singular. Try these. I read some research papers. They were long. I'm describing the research papers. I go to a school. It is big. I'm describing the school. I read at a time. It is after class. A time is what I'm describing. I read about a topic. It was relevant to my research paper. I'm describing a topic. I couldn't understand a definition in the paper. It was confusing. I'm describing a definition. Make sure that your clause goes right next to the word it's describing. Think about it. Okay. I read some research papers which were long. I go to a school which is big. I read at a time which is after class. I read about a topic which was relevant to my research paper, and I couldn't understand a definition which was confusing in the paper. Now you can try number 1 on your work page. I'm talking about this work page, the adjective clauses work page. Just do number 1 for now. These were all subjective identifying adjective clauses. Now you should watch the next video in the series to learn about object identifying adjective clauses.